Today we're making Caprese Panzanella. This is a slightly heartier take on the classic tomato basil mozzarella salad that is terrific for a party, a family dinner, or just a delicious lunch for one. So let's get cooking. I've got all the ingredients assembled here, and there aren't too many of them. We have the usual suspects for caprese, which are fresh tomatoes, fresh basil, and fresh mozzarella, as well as balsamic vinegar and olive oil. And since this is so simple, we want to use the good stuff if we happen to have some on hand, plus salt and black pepper. And to make this panzanella salad, that really just means that we're going to use toasted bread, or in this case, I've got some homemade croutons. If you have some bread that, some good quality bread that's maybe a little bit stale, great time to make panzanella. Just kind of tear it or cube it and toast it a little bit, and you're good to go. All right. Quick note about quantities. I am making panzanella for just me for lunch. So think of this as the individual serving amount and scale up as needed. So I have a small pile of basil leaves. There's nothing super exact about that already in the corner of my cutting board. And I'm going to cut up some tomatoes. And you can use a big tomato, big tomatoes. You can use cherry tomatoes. Use whatever you've got. I have some tomatoes from my garden here. So I'm going to get started with those guys and just cut them up into the size pieces you would want in a salad. And I've got a little bowl here for that. So we'll slice some tomatoes. The bigger cherry tomatoes might get cut into quarters here. The rest of them I'm just going to halve. And for one person, that might be, half a cup altogether to a cup. Just go with what you would like. Once my tomatoes are sliced, I'm going to dress them, and this will let some of the juices from the tomatoes mingle with the dressing, and so we do that as our next step, and drizzle a good generous drizzle of balsamic, a little bit of olive oil. Again, do this to taste. If you know you like your salad a little heavier on the oil or the vinegar, do it that way. I like to use more vinegar than oil typically, so that's what I'm doing here. A few shakes of kosher salt and a couple of grinds of black pepper, like so. And then I'm just going to give that a little stir and let it hang out over here while we get to the rest of our ingredients. Right? I have some basil leaves. Some of them are little bitty leaves. I'm not going to even break those up any further. The big ones, you can cut them with a knife. I usually just tear them. Do keep in mind you could mix your tomatoes together a little bit ahead of time, but you don't want to, if you're cutting your basil, you don't want to cut or tear that too soon because the edges will just brown. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not quite as pretty. All right, so maybe tear a couple more of those leaves, and we'll let the rest of them just hop in here like so. Give it another stir. All right. And then it's time for the mozzarella. And you could definitely, this is a good time to get those little bitty balls of fresh mozzarella that are sold already kind of in just the right size. They're called pearls a lot of the time, I think. That's great. But I just have a big hunk of fresh mozzarella sitting here, and that's what I'm going to use. So I'll just kind of cut a chunk of that off and cut it into maybe really rough. I was going to say cubes, but that might be a bit generous. Let's cut that into some chunks, sort of match the size of my tomato pieces if I can. And that looks good. I will toss it in as well. The mozzarella will not stay bright white, obviously, when it's tossed in with that dressing. So again, if you're thinking about plating this for a party, you might want to use those mozzarella pearls, or just keep your cut mozzarella separate until you assemble it, or even just sprinkle that on top of your dish. But I am a party of one and I'm not that picky. So I am going to just toss that right in here and give it another stir. All right, so we have our caprese salad assembled. You can, of course, test for seasonings if you want a little more salt or pepper, or if you want to add a little kick, you can put some red pepper flakes in here, but I think mine is all good the way it is. So I'm going to set that down, move my cutting board aside, and get the plate I am serving it on. And if it were just me eating my salad alone and not doing it for the camera, I'd dump my croutons right in here. But we're going to make it pretty like we would for a party or a family meal or something. So I'm going to put some of these croutons, and there is a super quick and easy recipe on the channel for making homemade croutons. And again, this is just kind of to taste. This is a good desk meal as well. Panzanella is in general. You can have your dressed vegetables, depending on what they are, all completely assembled in, a mason jar, and then have a little container of croutons. And you just want to assemble those and give it a couple of minutes for the dressing or the juices from the vegetables to kind of soak into your bread. All right. I am going to pour this right on top. Right. As best I can. All right. So, and if we're trying to keep track of amounts, again, that's probably about a half a cup of croutons or torn bread per person. If we're doing this as a main dish, maybe we want to up that a little. All right, and here we have it. That's all there is to it. This is Caprese Panzanella, and it is quick, simple, and super, super tasty. So we hope you give this a try and you come back soon for another video.